Maybe you remember the pile of Legos, which we used as a picture to define processes. We have the PDCA wheel that wants to go up the hill. Then we have the wedge behind, which are the processes, the definitions, the description of everything. Do you remember what is the arrow behind the wheel that pushes the wheel up the hill? Do you remember what it is? It's the boss with the whip that's forcing, that's pushing. Do you remember what is in front? Goals, yes. It's the vision. The vision we have, or the owners, the company that's there, that is pushing the wheel up the hill. You know, what's your vision? I mean, what's the company's vision? Is it the vision they share with the people? Is it the vision just to carve stones, or is it, do they have a vision? They're contributing to build a cathedral. Manna Baker is an excellent example. They have the vision to become #1 of Nepal. A big vision. It doesn't have to be that every company wants to become #1. Some might have other visions and ideas, but that's an excellent idea, and the boss is talking about all this, about this all the time. People will understand. So the vision is key. Remember the dove. The dove of peace. God is not a God of disorder, but He's a God of peace. Which brings us to the conclusion that order brings peace. And you've mentioned it here and there, that standardizations creates peace, and it enables to grow. It enables growth. Not only brings peace, but enables benefits, to be more efficient, to be clearer, to be better. So that in many aspects, what you mentioned about positive things, they're standardized or orders, defined processes, defined labeling. And then you're faster, you're better. And you remember the process of a Kaizen visit? And do the introduction to the company initially. They showed us the product to understand the company, how it works. Maybe you have to visit two times, 3 times until you understand how the company works, what they're producing. We did employee information. Once we were there, what we're doing, why is there a white face coming or a coach coming? They need to know. Remember, we did a tour of the production to see the place, to see the real people, to see the real place, to see the real processes, and not only sit in the office and talk, but to see the situation is very important, to make the tour and to go around with open eyes, observe. And again, if you're going there every visit, try to go out to the production, make a tour, see the changes also, and talk about the positive items you discover. Encourage the people, encourage the boss. It's very important. Then we come to the hard work. We observe, we brainstorm, we collect ideas, we focus, we choose the focus points, we set priorities out of this, and then we define a roadmap of the focus points. We define what is first, what is second, in what time we're going to attack them, and the detailed action plan. You mentioned here as well, you've had difficulties to get things done. If things you were not able to complete, maybe were they too big? Was the elephant too big of a task that you couldn't complete? Was it too much work in the period you wanted to complete? We had this assessment questionnaire. Has anybody used this already or not yet? We did the first questionnaire at some companies 1 year ago. Has anybody used one of the questionnaires since? I got some new questionnaires in spring. Have you done a tour with one of these questionnaires or not at all? I'm just wondering, it's a question. If you use it or not, have you used the one we did 1 year ago and looked at it after some period of time? Doesn't seem like it. That's okay. You can also, you remember the brainstorm, and then cluster from the brainstorm, bring it to a roadmap. I don't know if anybody of you did a roadmap with the company to choose the focus points for the next. Remember, that's a plan when we have 4 quarters per year, or also the monthly, when you have 12 columns per year to plan the big picture. And from that, you go down to the action plan and plan every action in detail. Have you been able to update the action plan? Not yet. Not.
Like some deadline shifting that has been discussed, but not up to that extent which we have really visualized.
Have you been able to visit the companies? You know, we had a report meeting in June, second half of June. How often have you been with the company since then?
Yeah, in the mid, yes. My company did in the mid, but now currently not done it.
Yeah.
Because in the action list we have planned for up to December, right? 25. So that one is not done.
Yeah.
During the mid, yes, it was updated.
So do you have but you have an action plan, kind of like, which is last deadline in June. You updated it.
That's why I said it's not updated for up to December 25.
Yeah.
Just this is only June.
Tika?
Yeah, I visited 2 times and we tried to achieve something, but we haven't postponed the date, like for which we haven't achieved when to do that.
Yeah.
So for that, we are trying to find that they have with some staff, families, owners, families, health issues also.
Yeah.
So I don't want to push burden on that, but they are realizing that needs to be recalculated. And the owner himself also mentioned that to achieve his visions also, at least for discussions also, you need these things to be done. So it will continue.
Yeah.
So, Andy, is the update meaning that you have mentioned up to 25th December, up to December. Is this the same action that has not taken completed yet, but reschedule up to December? That you mean to say that update? on the action plan? Is that?
Yeah, in the action plan you have everything. You know, you have the things you've completed. That one is completed on 15th November 24.
Yeah.
You have the actual actions that maybe are not completed yet. You need to postpone the date, the end date, and then also the future actions. You know.
Yeah, 3 years. You mentioned 3 years one, right?
Yeah, the roadmap is for me is for 3 years. To plan the action for 3 years is that's a challenge. That's probably too much. But you can plan the actions, I would say maximum half a year. But you have the roadmap with the big important focus points to achieve the vision, you know, the vision to become number one. Maybe takes 10 years. And then you may have a roadmap for the 10 years, what needs to be done, what to achieve the vision in 10 years' time. But then the action plan really get the details, you know. Paint the walls is one action. It's really cut down the elephant into very small pieces.
Yeah.
And one question you were not able to you said, delay on completing tasks. That's one question. Was the task too big that they couldn't complete? There are many reasons behind, of course, but that's one question. Was the task too big that the people were not able to contribute their work?
So, roadmap is about the vision, and then based on the roadmap, we prepare quarterly plan,
Action plan.
and then based on the quarterly plan, we prepare action plan, right? Something like that.
Yeah, it's basically this, you know, you have observation, you make a brainstorm, and then you choose the focus points out of the brainstorm. Together with the company always. What is next? What is next? What is next? You put it on a roadmap, and then it depends if you go on a quarterly roadmap or a monthly roadmap. That's maybe a combination is ideal. You know, if for the present year you have a roadmap for each month, but from next year onward you plan the big picture first, so you have a quarterly schedule. But you can also do it monthly. That's up to you. But you plan the big picture. We want to renovate the production hall. That takes 6 months. So you fill in 6 months. And then the action plan, you break it down into 10, 15 actions that are required to renovate the production hall. If you plan to renovate the production hall as a whole action, it's way too big. You cannot schedule it. You cannot appoint it to different people who need to take actions. So on the action plan, you plan every single step.
In detail.
Yeah. In details, yes.
So roadmap, it depends on periodical also the vision wise, right? The big roadmap is based on the vision. Could
Yep.
be the company's
Yep.
entire
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah.
And then roadmap can be yearly, 6 months, a month, right? But it has to have connection with the vision, right? The big.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I can maybe show you again if I find it the one example we did in spring. That's a very good example. Let me see. I said I'm going to talk about this circle and Ashish is missing now. You can add some new kind of tools for you as PO coach, as well as the company can profit from it. I have the impression you have you're a PO coach, you're doing a great job, you have the companies that are interested, more or less, have a big vision or no vision, this or there. But in order to bring it into life more, this process, this small steps moving upwards the hill, I have the impression you had little time and then you wanted to take big steps, always. But that's not Kaizen. Kaizen is small steps at a time, small steps, and not big changes. So in order to bring it more into the company, and I'm also learning about these processes and how to improve it and make it better. So over the period of time, I learned also about lean management, Kaizen management, production optimization, and I'm going to introduce some new topics and kind of tools, but you will learn about. We'll talk about key persons in the company. You as a PO coach, you're kind of outside. You're not part of the company. You're an outsider. You're a supporter, but you're not employed and you're not part of the company. And you mentioned here, you have the owner as a counterpart. And he's busy, as Damodar as an example. I know he has other issues, and other problems than just the production optimization. He has a big vision to follow, and he's busy with a lot of issues. So it's not the best idea to only have the CEO, the proprietor, as a counterpart. So the idea is to have a Kaizen manager at the company. And it would be good if a company can install a Kaizen manager who is responsible and who is your counterpart for you as a PO coach, direct counterpart. It depends a lot on the company size. How many employees do you have? How big is your company? 15 people. Yeah. It's already quite a size. Depends. It always depends on the company structure and who is responsible for what, but it's ideal to have a Kaizen manager who is running the Kaizen thing on a weekly basis. For me, the CEO is rather on the roadmap, on the strategic decisions. But on the weekly basis, good to have a Kaizen manager. Then we have the Kaizen core team. That's a team of 3 to 5 people that the Kaizen manager is not on his own all the time, but he has a team with him, with important people. And the third circle is a Kaizen staff meeting. Let's see if the beamer comes back. The Kaizen manager, that's the key person and your key counterpart. He's the connecting organ between you as a Kaizen coach and the company. He coordinates the introduction of the Kaizen concept, introduction as well as the ongoing application of the Kaizen. He coordinates the follow-up meetings. We used to call it shop floor meetings. We did it on a weekly basis in each sector to make sure it gets integrated into daily life. And not only every third month you talk about, oh, now we should update the action plan. But it should become a regular issue. And the Kaizen manager is also responsible for teaching the staff. And he's responsible for reporting to you. And not you as a Kaizen coach comes in and does the work, but you become a team with the Kaizen manager.
So it's more like, even if owner is, if we are talking, so our approach will not be as like before. Now our approach and our focus will be more for the Kaizen only. Like earlier we used to discuss the ordinary things and others also. So, but it will be more for the, we will take owner himself also. If we are dealing with the owner himself also, he will be as a Kaizen manager for us, for our approach.
Yeah, in terms of Kaizen manager can be anybody. Yeah. It can be the owner, the CEO, or in your case, I think Anjan, no? Yeah. That would be the Kaizen manager, yeah, which is involved in the weekly application of the improvement and action plan. If you're going to talk about the roadmap, the CEO will be there, and he will take decisions of the strategic, of the big issues, the big decisions of who is on the roadmap and set priorities. But on a weekly basis, that Anjan is responsible. In your case, that's typical Anjan. Yeah. I would make him a Kaizen manager and not what's Roshan. Yeah. That's a typical situation where Roshan is the CEO and he's not responsible Kaizen. But I would make Anjan the Kaizen manager, not Roshan. And you kind of offload the task you're doing with action plan and everything more to him, that he's updating. And when you go there on a monthly basis or whatever you define, you just support him. But he is in the lead, not you anymore. The Kaizen core team is a team of 3 to 5 people, consisting Kaizen manager is in the lead. He is organizing the meetings with the core team, and together with the CEO, you choose who is on the core team. 2 to 4 other important people like division manager, team leaders, or employees who have good ideas and good attitude. You form a team that you have more support for ideas to get it done, down to the employees. If you have just one person who's deciding everything, it's difficult to get it accepted by the staff. For that, it's important to form a core team. Again, it depends on the size of the company. If you're 10 people and you have a team of 5 people, half the company is in there, it's probably too big. But if you have a company of 170 people and you have several divisions, the core team could be even bigger. So you have to find out what makes sense for your company, your coaching. And it's ideal to install a weekly meeting. I suggest you to install a weekly meeting. Friday, 11 to 12, Monday, 8 to 9, whatever suits best for the weekly routine in the company. But establish a fixed meeting and then 1 hour a week, not more, maximum 1 hour, like a shop floor meeting per week. So find out which time is good and don't make it too big, but short and quick. By this you get the action plan and things into life. And you know what's there, you know what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to do next week. And if you're only doing 3 monthly basis, it's way too long. You forget what's written there, what you've agreed on. But come up with these weekly meetings. And then we have a monthly meeting with a headline or the topic of stop. Stop. We look, S for situation. We look, where are we now? How far have we come? What is the situation we're at? Now we're somewhere on the line, and we look close. How far have we come? Where are we at? We are here. Second is target. We define where do we want to go. What target do we want to achieve in the next months and in the months afterwards. So we define on the same timeline when we're here. Where do we want to go? And then O for opinion. We look for ideas and solutions how to reach the target point. How can we solve a problem? And we look for different opinions, not the first one that pops up, and not only the ideas from the boss is the best, but we collect opinions from everybody from the core team. And that's why we have a team of 3 to 5 people, that we have more opinions and ideas. We can do a brainstorm, or we do collect ideas with a card, that everybody can contribute ideas and opinions how to reach the target. There are different forms you can collect opinions. And then P for procedure. You define in steps how to act specifically. For that, what tool do we have for this? We have the action plan. Huh? What did you say?
Yeah, action plan.
Action plan, exactly, yeah. And there we define on the action plan how to implement the chosen opinion from here. How to implement, how to put it into action. And then I suggest to establish a Kaizen staff meeting. with all the employees. Again, the Kaizen manager is in the lead. Kaizen manager is organizing every 4 months or every half a year maximum. I wouldn't make it less than 2 times a year. 3 times a year, every 4 months, you have a meeting with the staff. And depending on the size, maybe you make smaller groups, but with 15 people or 30 people, that's okay to have a staff meeting in that size, with that number of people. In the staff meeting, you can share information from the CEO, how it's going, progress, new things that are coming up, changes. And then you can also do the stop with the staff to look at the situation. Thank you. Do the same. And that's important, to involve the staff. They have a lot of ideas, and usually more than you think or that the bosses think. The staff, they're in there every day. In your place, I know they make these muffins, they know how to do. They have more ideas how to improve this process than probably you have as a CEO. We are busy with other items and issues. How can you come up with ideas to improve the process of muffin making production? So involve the staff. Get ideas from them. They have very good ideas. That's one thing. And the other is to involve them. When you involve them, when they come up with solutions and ideas, they will accept them on a higher level than if you're just putting ideas on them. If you just decide how they need to do. If they come up with a solution, with a suggestion, how to improve, they cannot say, oh no, this idea is rubbish. I cannot. It came from them. So they will easily or better accept a change. If you're just opposing a change to them, they will make it for 2-3 times and they will go back to the old method. But if they're part of the opinion of the ideas, they will accept and apply it in the future as well. Yeah, I mentioned this already almost. Their executor of the process is the staff. So involve them, the employees. And they have a lot of knowledge and experience from daily life, from daily doing the jobs. And that's really the key. Active participation can make the difference between success and failure. Or at least give it a try to involve the people. And I know from my own experience, the more from the companies I worked with, but also from companies, I accompany as a coach. And I also do a lot of inspection of door producers in Switzerland, all over Switzerland. I go around and they need to get their production inspected from an outsider in order to get the certificate, in order again to produce outside doors and sell it to the market. So I've seen a lot of companies on different levels. So that's one of the success factors. When employees are involved, the change is easier and more successful than if just the bosses is deciding, now we do it different, now we do it that way. Failure is guaranteed, almost, if just the boss is deciding. And you have more success if the employees are involved. And to make it visible, you have this, learned a lot about the tools, the people have seen us, when we came to them to visit the company, we walked around the production. They've seen us, maybe they've seen changes when shelves were labeled or shelves were reorganized, or you did changes at RP Food. Gopal, we changed, they moved the piles of wood around, they changed the layout already. They've seen it, but to underline the participation of the staff, the employees, make it visible in the company what you're doing. And for that, we're going to introduce a Kaizen board. And that's a physical board. Can be a whiteboard. Whiteboard is not that bad, then you can erase notes and write new notes. Or you have a plywood board where you can stick papers on it, small notes. It's a physical thing within the company. In the bottom part, during the staff meeting, you note ideas. Random ideas, random findings that people have discovered since the last meeting. You note it down. Then in the second chapter, you have the processing. Here you note the things that are happening, the changes, the processes. In the third, there is the testing. Testing phase, the things that you have applied. Maybe they need further changes and improvements. And what is important is the last part. I call it the wall of fame. There you note down the successes. What have you been achieved? What are the positive things? How often do we just talk about the things that are not good, which are going bad, which are failures, and you note down the mistakes? But talk about the positive things as well. Note them down that people can see what we achieved. How many sales did we have? How many new staff we have? New customers. We could sign a contract. Can be numerous things there. And as a repetition, how to put this all together, have this Kaizen process. First is observation. You know, you go in there, look at the real situation, observe, maybe once a month. You together with a Kaizen manager do a tour of production, or he does it himself, Kaizen manager more often. You observe You look what's happening. And you update what's been achieved and not achieved yet, to also update the deadlines of the action plan. You observe, you take notes. You make selections. You choose, do we go in this direction or this? And the ideal is don't make too many selections, but choose one topic per meeting. You either, the Kaizen manager decides himself or with the core team. Since he has a core team, to get higher acceptance, it would be good if the core team can agree on the selected topic. Then we do the stop process, which we have there, specifically with the situation, target, opinion, and procedure on the action plan. Not to forget the Wall of Fame. What's been good and great since the last meeting. Don't forget to talk about the positive things, of the achievements. Note success stories, what's been implemented, not only what's not been done yet. And then note it down. Make also protocol of the Kaizen process, how you're doing, how it's going. Write it down. Remember, the wedge behind the wheel is the standardization. Write it down, that's been agreed on. Note processes, note who is responsible for what. The written things help that the wheel doesn't fall backwards into old methods. And the good thing is, if you have new employees, you can take these documents and you have it in written, what you need to tell them, how it's working here, how you work, how the layout is set up, how the responsibilities are. When this is writing, you can just pull it out of the drawer or computer, wherever you have it, and use it as an introduction to new staff when they come on board. Do you have questions about this? Key persons, the different roles, and the process of the Kaizen board? I think this is the next step from what you've done now with your regular visits with the company, but I think it would be good to install something like this to get it more specific and more into daily life in the company. And not, oh, she's just coming again, okay, what? No, it should be weekly, daily. They should see it and have a Kaizen manager within the company. And also the Kaizen board visual, that things get done. You want to take a picture as well? I will color it afterwards and hang it up the wall. Any questions, or if not, that's okay.
This Kaizen, we supposed to do this Kaizen board display, right?
Yeah, at least update it once a month, at least. Or if the Kaizen manager has a shop floor meeting every week, he can update it every week. Do we have new ideas or problems? What are issues are coming up? Let the Kaizen manager note every week. You have new ideas for, we need to improve there, or this machine is not running well. You don't have to wait 1 month till the next monthly meeting until you can note it down. That's the idea, to note it down every week. When something pops up, you note it down here.
Not necessarily related to the improvement plan, right? So it can be every week kind of challenge also to address them.
Yeah. You have like two things. From top down, you have the vision, then you have the roadmap, and you have the action plan.
Yeah.
These are ideas that come from top down. But this is ideas from bottom up. That you have ideas to improve, to change something. This lands on the same action plan, eventually. If you choose to process it and put it into testing, this lands on the same action plan. So on the action plan, you have ideas that come from top down, and you have ideas that come from bottom up, from the staff itself, from the daily routine, from the daily work. And by that, you know, the action plan, that's changing and updating all the time.
Yeah, so these weekly or regular ideas and everything that goes on can be kind of input to we can use while we update our plan, right? During the updating and if there are some changes required.
So if the company is small, then the owner himself or herself can be the Kaizen manager. If the company is bigger, more interest, then the owner can assign someone as a Kaizen manager.
Yeah, it depends on the company size, on the structure, on who is there. Has the owner somebody who is reliable and can be appointed as Kaizen manager, or do I have to do it the first year or the first 2 years until it's established, and then I can hand it over to somebody else? It depends on the company size, and depends on what people you have on board.
And weekly, the small team, when we have a Kaizen board and we, share ideas and process, there is a chances, coming up very new idea.
Yeah.
And then there is, if the company has many departments and high volume of staff mobilization.
Yeah.
If we see from the perspective of utilizing those ideas and contradicting with the higher senior level management team. So, is there any level of authority? Maybe bringing new ideas is okay, welcome everywhere, but implementing those ideas can be based on the level of authority, what kind of idea can be implemented, ongoing process, what can be, what idea has to take some approval, maybe senior or middle level management. Is there something, those kind of process also, or practice?
Yeah, you could define between the CEO and the Kaizen manager, you could define a budget until what expense can the core team and the Kaizen manager take decisions for investment or purchases. And when it exceeds this one, the CEO has to be involved, or the board. That could be one thing you could install, like a budget until which expense has the core team the right to take authority and decide. But of course, you know, if somebody has an idea to buy a new fryer, for example, at RP Food, that's quite an investment. So core team cannot decide themselves. They have to go to the owner, to the CEO, to get a decision for the investment. So that could be defined in a authority plan, rules and regulations. How far can the core team go and decide what investments could be done? And when is the decision of the CEO required?
Sometimes idea can be very, beneficial and very practical. Some of the steps of the process may be useless, and idea may be rise and team can be agreed.
Yeah.
Then the senior level management during the production process.
Yeah.
Later, came into the knowledge that the Kaizen team skipped the process one step.
Yeah, there you need to establish kind of a process when the core team or the Kaizen manager approaches the CEO to present what they would like to install. But if you take Manna Bakery's example of labeling the shelves, that doesn't take much time. It's not very costly. So I, as a Kaizen manager, would present it to the CEO and say, look, we would like to do this. It costs this much. It takes this much time. Is it okay or not? Just to present it, rather than him to decide. But that's something you have to find out per company, and how the CEO works, how much he wants to be involved, or how much freedom does he give to the core team and the Kaizen manager. That's also a culture issue of each company. How much authority and competence they get here from the CEO. Any other requests? Otherwise, you can always come up and try it. You'll get the presentation with the notes afterwards, with the basic description of it, and you can study and find out what suits best for your company. Yeah? The award program. We are working on establishing an award program for the companies that they can participate and apply for. And I'll explain you now quickly what this means. You hear now, we'll also present it to the company when we come to visit them. RP Food this afternoon, we'll come to you tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk into details and explain it in more details. And we also need to get it approved. It's only in a draft version until now. We need to get it approved by Com head office, and then you can apply as a company for the award program. I'll show you. We always have the Swiss Create House idea to move up, get better, grow, provide more jobs, and bring peace to the people. The award program has the aim to get the flywheel of continuous improvement moving. And of course, hopefully in the right direction, upwards and not downwards, that's obvious, huh? by small improvements, small steps, small actions. The success of the company is always at the forefront of the whole program. It's not about PO coaching or your job, it's all about the company, that they get better. Production optimization is always about saving time, do the same output in less time, a quicker time with less expenses, and eventually earning money in order to create more jobs also. And by creating more jobs, you produce more products, you earn money, and the wheel should turn in a positive direction. It's always on as the goal, huh? The award program, what does it mean? How does it work? This is now the award program which we present to like a new company. When you look at this process. For you, as we have worked with you already for 1 year, we are kind of here somewhere. We've done the basic program. So we still need to find out how to integrate what we've done with you. But that's a basic description if we come up with a new company who hasn't done anything. We'll start with a kickoff meeting and have 4 months to prepare to do the brainstorm, the mind mapping, to make some selection of the areas we want to work on. Introduction phase. Then we have a presentation to the management of the company. And this depends on the size of the company, that's obvious. Then we get the basic approval, basic decision, which area we want to improve first. And then we have 6 months of the stage 1 until we make the first audit. First assessment with the detailed questions. Audit 1, stage 2, another 6 months. And then we have the audit 2. And there we measure what could be improved, what we were able to achieve between audit 1 and 2. And after audit 2, we'll have about 1 month of proper documentation of the process. And this will hopefully end in the certification of the company. The focus points of production optimization, as I mentioned earlier, is the production and 5S and safety. The PO is not focused on the other, 7 areas of SCBM, of the areas we have. It's the focus on the workplace design, safety, order and cleanliness. It's a focus on the machine improvements. It's focusing on reducing and cutting setup times. And the 4th point is maintenance and cleaning. We're really focusing on the production process with this award program, and not overall all topics, all issues. It's really on production and not on finance, not on marketing, not on general strategy. If the company has the desire to get coaching in terms of marketing or strategy, COM is always available and can provide the necessary support and the necessary competence. But this is really about production and not overall, not about product development and all the other issues that you need to cover as a company. And of course, into the introduction is the first thing is to establish a Kaizen manager who is your counterpart as a PO coach, and also establish a core team. Do the first analyze and evaluation of the present situation. Use the questionnaire, do a mind mapping, do a brainstorm, and then come up with a roadmap of the selected topics you want to look or improve. And the idea is to select a pilot scheme, to select one area you want to improve, depending on the size of the company and on the variety of products. But you know, my company I used to work for, we were 170 people and very big production line and different products. So there we choose to look at the kitchen production first. We didn't touch the cupboard production, we didn't touch the door production or other products. We looked at one product only. And once the Kaizen process is established, it's much easier to copy it and adopt it into other areas. With you, it depends on the products you have. With 15, probably don't need to select different schemes, but it depends. If you have chicken and mutton, you can only look at the chicken production, for example. How to improve the chicken slaughtering and processing. And once this is done and established, you can then apply it to mutton production, for example. Yeah, choose the pilot one, sample area.
Andy, can you go back? So what is the tandem composite?
Tandem is like, it's not an English term. It's like, what's a bicycle called where two people are sitting in front of each other?
Co-sitting, co-working?
It's like the partnership.
Sitting together.
Tandem.
Co-driver.
Co-driver. I'll show you a picture what I mean. That's a tandem, you know, when two are together forming a team. You've never seen?
अघिसम्म चाहिँ हामीले पुस गर्ने थियो अवार्डको लागि चाहिँ हामी दुईटैले प्रिपेयर गर्नु पर्यो अघिसम्म चाहिँ हामीसँग अगाडि मागेर गर्ने कुरा अब हामीले चाहिँ सँगसँगै तान्नु पर्यो सबै प्रोसेस
So you as a PO coach and the key person in the company, that needs to be selected first, and you form a tandem, a partnership, and you develop it together, and the two of you form a core team, the next level. You understand now?
Yes.
Okay.
Together.
Yes. Any other question?
Thank you.
And then it becomes like this, you know, you have this pilot scheme, you do it for one area, and when it's established, you copy it to another area. And this is rather after, you know, it doesn't fit on one slide, but that's, you do it here first, and then you copy it to the second pilot scheme, to the second area, or third and fourth. And we have the idea of coming up with 3 awards. We have the PO Basic, which is like bronze medal. That's about the company, huh?
It's not about PO coach, it's about the company. Yeah?
This is about the company. Licensing you as a PO coach is another issue that we look at on Wednesday. Probably, yes. This is about the company. And then the idea is that an award is valid for 3 years, and then you have to like renew it. Renew the award to have it valid again. To do the audit again, to look, is there improvement or is it getting worse? To renew the award. Second is PO Expert, and the third level would be PO Master. It's more to do with, it doesn't mean when you renew the PO Basic, you become PO Expert. It's more about topics and what details you look at the company and what level you're going down. On the level of improvement and then the observation. Yeah, I mentioned the idea is that the award is valid for 3 years. Then a recertification is required and subject to a fee. And just to make clear, the award, it's not a competition of 4 or 5 companies who are competing at the same time to get a first prize, second prize, and third prize. That's not the idea of this award. It's not a competition in 225, 5 companies will sign up, and then we evaluate and compare them, and the best gets a gold medal, the second the silver. That's not what we're talking about. It's a single company certification audit. You either have it or you don't have it. And it's not which company is better than the other. Yep.
So it's not a competition, it's like getting certain KPIs performed, indicators performed, so they can stand together as a master also, or basic only, or...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's more like the company competing with itself. Like
yes.
How it can be better.
Yeah.
About maintaining standard.
Yeah, maintaining and improving.
Improvement.
Maintaining, if you maintain, you stay the same.
Yeah, pure level of pure master, if there is no other upper level than maintaining.
Yeah. Once.
No. Always to be a master also, you need to maintain, no?
Yeah.
Company आफै भित्र प्रतिस्पर्धा गर्न लागेको छैन।
That's nice idea actually.
Yeah.
To keep company motivated in the process.
Yeah.
It's a nice idea because they will understand the value, and then that award itself will speak for their quality.
Yeah.
They can present this as an achievement also. That will standardize.
Yeah, it's a choice of the company. Com has a variety of different forms of support. They can continue PO like you're doing now. You're providing now as a PO coach. Simple coaching, how we're doing. The award program is like the next level when it's really getting serious. You have the schedule, fixed timings, and which you need to track the timings, and there's a specific question about KPIs which you need to achieve in order to get an award. That's like a next level. But if a company needs coaching in strategy or marketing, Ashish and as many offers you can provide.
It started in Vietnam around 2008 or 10. So that time similar like a small training was there given by the Mario. So a company has maybe 2 or 3% or 5% working. So when they get into this system, so now when they come, so they have a 200 or 300 employee out there. So a person where
That's the headline. When you talk about workflow and layout planning. And the introduction of a new boss. It's not going to compete with you as a CEO or proprietor, but the picture is boss. When you think about, we'll look at the picture is boss. Material and workflow, main criteria is availability of the right goods, the right input, in the right quantity, at the right time, in the right place. And you might remember the furniture factory from Bhutan I used to work for in 2001. I was there at the bordering town of Bhutan and India, Chaigon. The Bhutanese side is called Phuntsholing. It's the twin town to Chaigon on the India side. That's what it looked like before. A lot of piles, all the trolleys were covered. They had to carry the parts because the trolleys were covered with old material. Some impressions, high piles, you couldn't see who is on the other side. They were covered to the belts, you couldn't use them. The whole production hall was covered. Even they were producing, of course, but all parts are lying around, covering everything. A lot of piles of waste boards on the floor covering workspace. Old panels stacked to the wall, consuming a lot of space that could be used for production. Old boards that got damaged over the time, couldn't throw away, they were not allowed to, but the covering got fungus, got wet. So I did an analysis, and 51% of the space was non-productive. Half of the production hall. They had a very nice big production hall, but half was covered. A lot of raw material laying around, packing material, covered floor, occupied roller conveyors. Then 20% of the surface was covered with machines, of course, they need. They had cutting machine, edge banding machine, and only less than 1/4 was free to use for working space. And remember that these are the facts, I did after analysis that came out. They're nice. But picture is boss, so I tried to visualize it, whatever is covered. And here, the non-productive space is in pink, equipment yellow, and the free space is green. So this helps you to understand, all the pink that is covered, useless. The green are the machines, of course, you need them. Free roller conveyors and assembling benches. And then there were free spaces in green. The benches down here, that was the output section. So I tried to improve, and some impressions what it looked like afterwards. They had a lot of space to work. The roller conveyors were freed, so they could use them and didn't have to carry the piles all the time. The assembling section looks a bit different afterwards, after clearing. There you have an impression that you can see the changes. Here you can see we made some waste bins that the waste could that they could throw the waste parts directly into the bins with wheels and roll them out, and that didn't have to grab the waste pieces again. And you could see what's on the other side. You could see to the entrance door, not piles covering the view anymore. So we could reduce the non-productive space down to 40%. Equipment, free roller conveyors increased to 32, and the free space from 23 to 27. And you know, that's exactly what we talked about at Gopal Furniture, to clear first, get out of this rubbish of all this material covering the floor. You cannot establish a new layout when everything is covered with raw material and waste wood and all this. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to clear. And that's an example of Stefan, who was here last year, of a furniture company he used to work for in Israel. Also, all mixed up, finished goods, raw material, goods in between the processes. And it's what the new situation looked like. You know, the parts available, stacked in trolleys, marked ways, where you're allowed to stack and where you're supposed to move. And that's called the, you know, if you look at the machines, how things are going, the spaghetti no flow. It's not a spaghetti flow, but rather a spaghetti no flow. It's, you know, that is a particular example that you will be tired in the evening when you have to walk from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a lot of distance in between the machines. And if you newly set them up properly in a U-flow, count the arrows. It's obvious that they're less distance to walk. That's a very simple U-flow, of course, but it's not always that simple and that logic. You will see it in other examples. So maybe you have to have a combination or extension, because some parts have to go to 4 and 5. Some parts go directly 1, 2, 3, 7. And then they need to make, some parts need to make an extra round. And in this we have, you know, 1, 2, 3, and 6 is the same. Some parts go to 4 and 5, come back to 6, and then to 7. Where am I? Here we also have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and then 7. That's the same like on the right side. But so the idea is to have as short distance as possible. And when you plan, when you look at layout planning and workflow planning, we talk about fitto, from inside to outside. That means you look at the product. For example, here at the cupboard. You come from the cupboard, you set it up. What's ideal for this product? You define a workflow, where the parts and the raw material needs to go. You need to put on a saw, you cut, you pile, and then you define the work sequences. For example, this goes on a circular saw, and then a planing machine, drilling machine, and then so on in the all the work sequences. That's only a part of producing a cupboard. Once you've done this, you need to find the machines. What machines do we require? You need to know if you want to produce 10 cupboards a day or if you want to produce 1,000 cupboards a day. Then you need different machines. And once you know the machine requirements, and you know the sizes of the machines and the space around, you can define the space of a production hall. Number of square meters that are required. And then you define the building. If it's on 1 floor or 2 floor story building, and then you look for the property. That's from inside to outside. When you come from the product and you end up with having the knowledge of the ideal property. And that's, for example, the workflow, the same cupboard, you know. We have the input, the raw material. Then they go through the machines, the raw material, you cut it. You have semi-finished products after cutting, after edge banding, after drilling. And then you go to assembling section where you assemble the cupboard, and then you stock the finished products before shipping. And that's it shows the material requirement, you know. You have to have a certain material on stock in order to produce. At the machine production, you don't need much space, but here in between, you always require space. At the assembling is little, and then stock. Depends on your situation how much stock space is required. And then already comes into the picture the standardizing. The concept of standardize of one of the S in the 5S. That's an example of a trolley in a carpentry workshop to pile the parts like this, and then with this trolley you always have access to all parts. If you stack them on a pallet on horizontal way, if you want the parts below, you have to move. You standardize, you have a trolley where you have access to the part you need. And in bigger scale it could look like this. When you have a cupboard production, you have different compartments for different size of side panels, of bottom panels, of shelves. Standardized for the required company. When you plan a production hall, you always should think of direction of expansion. And then it depends how your goods flow through. That's the basic workflow, this arrow in the middle. If you have a line, you have to make sure you can expand in this direction. If you have this U-flow, you should make sure you can expand to the outside. And the same with the other concepts. Here it's difficult, there is some space to expand to the inside, but make sure you can expand to the outside. Here when you have an input like this and it's going out, probably difficult to expand towards the input, but to these sides you can expand. And here is the same with this concept. So the ideal solution, picture is boss, you draw it. You have a classic U-flow with the delivery of the goods, the raw material stock, and the raw material ready to produce. You have the machines, and then the intermediate stock of the semi-finished products. And that's the U-flow on the outside, hand fabrication, assembling, packing, and then the stock of the finished goods. And in this, You have the administration office and staff quarter or toilets in the middle. So to ensure you have a U-flow for the products. So it's obvious you need to plan the workflow first, and then where can I fit the office and the toilets, ideally. You don't plan these parts beforehand as a first step.
And you can I ask your previous one? Okay.
I wonder what it looks like at your place. I remember we looked at the workflow, some ideas in March, so I'm looking forward to see how you did it now. So this is very theoretical and ideal, but you see, once something is established, it becomes a bit more complicated when you have to expand within the existing walls and set up. And if you're producing different products, you also have different workflows, you know. The cupboard and the door doesn't require the same machines. Some they do, but some not. So if you have an existing production, and then the material flow of one product could look like this in red. And then this is very detailed of every part. And the best is to start from the big picture and then go into details if you want to optimize. It's the same production as on here. And this is the general workflow, and this is detailed workflow of every single part. So in order to optimize, you kind of need to draw or define for every single part, and then you find out the ideal workflow which is best for all the parts. So that's an example of what it could look like if you work on the plan to find out. You know, this is on the paper where the walking ways are marked in orange, the machines are in white, and the blue ones are the material stack before it goes to machine, intermediate stacks.
Even though we work on the paper sheet, it should be in scale, right?
In
scale.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it has to be in scale. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, you know, if you have the layout of the hall in one size, the machine need to be on the same, otherwise you cannot find out what is. That's why I asked you for a drawing, which is on scale, with the machines and everything, the walls, otherwise how to find out, you know. That's a picture from Gopal. While working, that's in March, and there's obvious that the workflow is kind of not ideal, you know.
Yeah.
There they were producing some beds, and they have little space, or they're not using the space ideally, so they had to stack beds on top of each other. But they didn't pile up the beds next to each other and doing one step after the other. So they had to move the beds around all the time, but that could be an example if you did practice. What does it take to produce a bed? Some examples of what it could mean to standardize the processes. You know, that's a workbench and they're producing cupboards. The cupboard is on here. And this part, that's the same cupboard, you know, which is on a plank and it's holded here, and then you can turn it. You can turn it around here. Here it's lying on the bench, and then once it's done, you can stand it up like this and it stands. So that's all about this. Think about solutions that you're not tired in the evening. But if you have to move 10 cupboards from the bench to the floor, that's okay with one. It doesn't really matter. But if you have to carry 50 cupboards a day from the bench to the bottom, you don't have to be tired. You have to move the 50 cupboards from the bench to the floor. So why not come up with a system with a plank where the cupboard is on and you can turn it down and it's easily put there. You don't have to carry the whole load.
So that we are not tired by the end.
Yeah. Less tired. If 50 cupboards, you're a little tired, but if you have to move them physically and grab them yourself by manpower, you're more tired. As also workbench, an example, you know, all the screws are in one part, the machines are available. Everything has a particular place. This is a bench for a drawer production. The drawer sides, the back side are of metal. They're sitting here. That's the machine to assemble them. The machine, you know, the driller. Here you see that that's a board on the right size and the right place that it can drill. It's always available. So that's standardizing the workplaces. Picture is boss. That's what we would do the next to define what's happening. How are the things going through the production? Which steps? 3, 4, 5, 6. Here the circular saw, then the planer, table root, the sanding machine, gluing stand. Define the machines are required. And then you can come up, you know, with the layout. Here would be ideal, of course, to have the circular saw here, and then the plane afterwards, the table router to profile the parts, and the sanding machine. And the gluing stand is not on there. Of course, it would be ideal if you could have it like this, these 4 machines in one line. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the production would look like this. But here somehow you don't have the full length. So you have to come up with a different layout. But you need to know first, how is a part going through production, through which machines? And then you can come up with a layout. There's a sample in the presentation about these chairs, how it works through in details. We're not going to look at this, but that's what it could look like. The workflow, and then the layout. There you see the layout of the legs, the blue one, how they run through production. And then the red ones, they have a different layout because they have to go through different machines. That's what it can look like. And before we saw it, yeah, if you work on the layout, you do it on a paper, like Gopal provided it, the plan with the machines. Like you can do it in 2D, where you line the fixed walls. You draw the fixed items, which cannot be moved, the walls and stuff. And then you have the machines and the intermediate stacks, where you can play around to find out the ideal solution. And it's always good to at least start twice from scratch and to find out, oh, can we do it differently? It's very seldom that the first solution is the best. And it's also good to have, if you have a company, as we learned before, involve the people, the workers, if you already have a team, when you want to improve the workflow, and use it, make groups of 3 people, 4 people, they work on a solution. The next 4 people also work on a solution. So everybody gets involved, not only the dominant tigers are speaking. Everybody gets involved, share their ideas, and then you end up with 4 or 5 ideas. And then you can combine the ideas to find out what is best. And it's a dangerous, if you just do it as a boss or whoever, you come out with one idea and you think it's best and that's it. But try to do more options. So this is in 2D and this is even in 3D. If you have the chance, you see the workbenches in very details. It's nice. It's a nice to have, but not a necessity to have it in 3D. If you have a 3D printer at home, or if you have time, you can make the workbenches in 3D out of boards, whatever material you have, or print it in 3D, but I don't see much advantage. It just can help to visualize it, but yeah, now it's time to practice. You have 10 minutes to come up with a production workflow for a beds. No, we skip that for today. We don't do it, but that would be the next step in the seminar too. You need to do it to learn how to think and look at. So we'll see what we can achieve tomorrow at Gopal Furniture, but